Hello and welcome back to the railway. This week we're going to have a quick look at trying Hornby's model R.251, the Class 3F tender locomotive in maroon livery. But firstly, we're just getting this rake of goods wagons back to the sidings. Now they're being pulled along here by the Evening Star, the 9F, and that was model number R.251. We're just bringing it to a stop by the station. We'll open points number 9. There we go. We'll bring it smoothly through there. Look at all those wheels, really well behaved with that crossover. Great set of wagons these. Nicely through, and then we'll switch points number 9 and we'll roll the whole lot backwards just behind the points there, and we'll leave them there. Nice stop there. And then we'll move forwards beyond the points and we'll switch them again. And we'll take it gently across back to the inside line. Look at that, smoothly through. We'll close those. We'll take her around towards point 18 and onto the turntable. Which is such a smooth run of this model with all those pickups on the wheels. Lovely stop there on the turntable, and we'll rotate clockwise. And then we'll take her backwards into the engine shed. We've got the 3F tender locomotive sitting there next to the Maroon Princess, and we'll bring her up onto the turntable once we've got it rotated counterclockwise. There we go. Now she goes. A little bit of a start there, and out onto the inside line with close points 18 there, and off past the station. So she is a good runner, not quite as smooth as the Evening Star, but it's a different sort of technology. Bring her to a stop just after points 11, switch those, and then we'll move back into the station and pick up a couple of Maroon coaches. Terrific shot there as she collects the coaches. We've got those, and off we go. We're going to go back through points 11 onto the inside line, and we'll switch those. Now this group of models made up the very popular Midlander train set RS8. This was available between 1966 and 68. Now I think we're going to bring her up to the station and bring her to a gentle stop. Looking terrific coming in there. And then we're going to take the time to have a look at this group of models. Looking great standing alongside the Pullmans there at the station. We've got the freight on the left there. Really terrific set of models standing on the layout today. So here we have the Midland Railway version of the 3F tender locomotive. Originally it started life in 1958 in BR black and remained that way till 1966. And if you look at the livery on here, when it first appeared in the catalogue it was in a BR maroon livery. Now from what I read, I don't think it ever appeared in the shops in that livery, so it was just an illustration made perhaps from a pre-production model. They seem to have got the livery right in the catalogue in the final year it was available in 1968. Now we can see this model is quite a worn and played with model. The lining on the handrail here has completely disappeared from both sides, and some of the black work along the edge of the footplate here is also missing. Looking down the side of the locomotive, there's a fair bit of detail here and there, just enough to give a good overall effect, and as we said earlier, the paintwork off this handrail is almost completely worn away. There's just remnants of it here. There are 4 windows in the front of the cab, and what may be a whistle here moulded in plastic. We've got separately fitted metal safety valves. Down here we've got this lining and the Midland crest. This is all on one sticky label applied to the side of the cab, and again there is fine riveting detail up here and another handrail. We've got a separately fitted metal handrail here, and the edges to these steps on the tender and the locomotive are all picked out in black. Looking at the side of the tender, there's a little bit of detail here. We've got a handrail moulded there, another one at this end, and the lining appears to have been printed directly onto the model. We've got these lovely bold numbers here, 3775. Great suspension detail, although it's not painted up, and we've got open axle boxes. The back of this tender has fairly little detail on it. The buffer beam has even less. We've just got the metal buffer heads pushed into it and the old D-shaped coupling here.
We got just a little bit of damage here to the step on the tender and the one on the locomotive there, nothing too bad. And the lining and the crest are all intact on this side too. Sadly the paintwork is also missing along the handrail, running the length of the model here, and there is a fingerprint which seems to have been embossed into the plastic work there, so maybe somebody's picked this model up with something on their fingers and it's affected the plastic, sadly. It's got a great looking chimney, and this is the screw that holds the plastic body to the metal chassis, so it could have had a smoking unit fitted in here, but I believe this model never did come with one. The earlier black BR versions were offered with Synchrosmoke in the mid-60s. Tender seems to have coal right to the top of it, and we've got possibly a hatch moulded into this very basic roof here. I do like this shape running around here, I think that is quite pretty. I've separated locomotive and tender. We can see we've got lovely detail here on the inside edge of the tender. Here we've got the pin, which drops into the drawbar here, joins the two together. We've got two metal prongs coming through the plastic bodywork there, which help hold the body on, along with the securing screw. Inside the cab is occupied by mostly by the motor, although they do seem to have included some cab detail in there, which I think is quite nice. Yeah, we can get a good view of the wire handrail running over the inside top of the cab there. Just looking at the underside of the tender here, we've got Triang's name just hiding down here. And then we've got the model number for the tender there, R.251. You can see we've got plastic sleeved wheels, as we pointed out earlier. We've got open axle boxes, and then the coupling is just held into the tender with a single flathead screw there. On the underside of the locomotive here, we've got the D-shaped coupling held onto the chassis with a single screw. It's suffered a little bit of a bend at some point. We've got see-through wheels with steel tyres, so this model does have the magnadhesion. We can just see the magnet for that just sitting behind the rear drive wheel there. Centre drive wheels are flangeless. We've got a collection plate here. We've got the pickup wipers. This one suffered a bend at some point, but still works very well. We have SS on the chassis here, which means this chassis can be fitted with a Synchrosmoke unit, but as I said earlier, I believe this model was never offered with Synchrosmoke. We've got the body off the chassis now. We can see here we've got built in Britain, and then we've got Triang's name and the model number, R.251. The inside of this body is quite clean and tidy. It's definitely been played with. It's survived quite well. And here we've got that, what looks like a fingerprint that's been left in the side of the model there, with obviously something corrosive on somebody's finger perhaps in the past, and it's just eaten into the plastic work. These things were meant to be played with, and this one's definitely seen some time on the track. With the body off, we can see the whole of the motor here, a terrific looking thing. Now this chassis was fairly flexible for Triang Hornby. They managed to get a number of models out of it. We have the diesel shunter, R.152, also R.52, the Ginty, which we saw running quite a bit last week. It really is a terrific looking motor. We'll just have a quick look at these coaches. This is the composite coach, R.422. These came along in about 1962, stayed in the catalogue till 1969. The chassis or the underframe was used on many different models, and they changed the side mouldings. Were just clipped in and held together with the grey plastic roof with these securing screws here, so a variety of models could be got from the same chassis. Quite ingenious really. We've got reasonably fine scale wheels and pinpoint axles, so when the models first came along they had sleeved wheels on a closed axle box, I believe. The old D-shaped couplings, metal buffers pushed into the plastic chassis, some detail on the ends with the corridor connections, and these grey plastic roofs. The only model in the range that had different roofs were the buffet cars, but the brakes and the composites shared the same roof in that platform grey. We'll just pop that down and we'll have a look at the brake coach, R.423. Again, came along in the same time period, so 1962, remained till 69. As we say, same underframe chassis detail, but we've got different detailing on the sides, just clipped in. And then definitely seating in there, and you see the corridor detail and handrail running along the windows, just printed onto the glazing unit. A great decal there. Sometimes they're printed quite off centre. Let's have a look at the other side. There we go. See that? In the mass printing, that's been printed quite off centre. And they were mass produced in their thousands.
Now, just leaving the station for one last run around the layout. Off past the gasometer there in the distance, and into that second radius curve, coming past the engine shed and up to the signal box. Looking terrific. Now we're going to bring her around behind the station here, and through points number 7, onto the outside line, smoothly through there, and then we'll close those up behind them. Now into the third radius curve, and we're approaching the incline now. This isn't going to present much of a problem to this model, just with 2 coaches, she's capable of so much more. Off into the distance there, past the windmill and the station clock there, and onto the suspension bridge. Terrific shot here as she comes towards us across the bridge, and then begins the descent, picking up a little speed, backing off the power. Lovely coaches, those, really great condition. Now coming towards us, a lovely long shot there. Now I think I'm going to leave you this week with page 4 and 5 from the 1966 catalogue. Now I know we saw these pages just a few weeks ago, and I think it really goes with what we're looking at today. If you look back again next week, we'll have something else from this later trying Hornby period. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye now.